everybody. I'm Sarah Frank. It's just an honor to be here and meeting everyone and learning about Eastern European and Moldovan media. It's just been fascinating in the last few hours, and I just can't wait for the next 2 days. I'm just curious, how many people in this room have heard of Now This News? Okay, a few. I hope you'll follow all of our channels, but I'm here to talk to you a little bit about social video, which is kind of a new term in the last few years, and a lot of people think video online, video is video, but I'm here to talk about how social video is very different from web video, and specifically what we at Now This have learned about producing video for all of these platforms in the news and information space, and also what makes every platform different, because they're very different. So for those of you that don't know, Now This is what we call a distributed media company. And what that means is that we put our content out through social feeds rather than a single traditional website. And we do that because our audience is mostly young people, probably like a lot of people in this room, people that get a lot of their information on their mobile devices. They tend to get that information through social feeds, through friends, and increasingly a lot of that content that is consumed is video, thanks to Wi-Fi, broadband, 4G. So that's our main focus, right? It's really important to us that we create content that lives where users live. That's the best way to reach people. Don't ask them to come to a new website or a new app. Just find them where they already live. And we do this because we think news consumption should be easy. There's a buzzword in startup world called frictionless, and that's just a fancy word for easy and accessible. Getting news and information should be just as simple as seeing what your friends are up to. Anyway, that's a really dramatic way to say we have no website. Yeah, thanks. So in February of 2015, we did have a website at the beginning of our company. We're about 3 years old. But in February 2015, we decided we would actually move all of those resources, all of the people that were in charge of writing headlines for the website, thinking about SEO, changing galleries and moving things around on the website. We said, what if we moved all of these people and all that time that they're spending just to social, and had them spend most of their time optimizing tweets, optimizing copy for Facebook, and working on learning more about posting on Facebook. And honestly, we haven't looked back. When we shut down our website, we were getting about 60 million video views per month. And in January of 2015, we hit nearly 1 billion video views per month. Billion with a B. Adam earlier mentioned the Ice Bucket Challenge. When the Ice Bucket Challenge started in about summer of 2014, that was really when people started seeing video in their Facebook feeds. And at that point, we were getting 1 million video views per month. So 1 million to a billion in about 18 months. I'm also here to debunk a little bit of what Adam was saying. We believe that short form content, 30-second videos, can be viral, can be exciting, and can be informative. We've had a lot of this success because we've decided to create for social and not the traditional web. This is a little bit of what our content looks like. So this was all produced on one day in June or July, when the Supreme Court in the United States struck down all, they basically made it legal nationwide for gay marriage. Huge issue for our audience, young people really passionate about this issue. Obviously a huge global issue. And we took our cross-platform approach to all of our social feeds. So on Tumblr, we posted autoplay videos and animated GIFs. On Facebook, we created really emotional, fun videos that would resonate with our audience. This one was called Obama Just Had the Best Week Ever. We told it with a bunch of memes. On Instagram, we went down to prominent gay rights locations in New York City and took original photography. On Snapchat, we had these beautiful illustrations. We even did some stuff with the Apple Watch. Vine, we did animations. Twitter was breaking real-time content all day. And on Periscope, again, we went down to some prominent locations in New York City and we're live streaming. And this is about a fifth or a tenth of all of the media that we produced on this day about this issue. There we go. And recently, we took this cross-platform approach to the White House, where we interviewed Vice President Joe Biden about some gun safety action that President Obama had just done. So this was a way that we can take one piece of content and break it out and repurpose it into several different ways so it feels appropriate for that platform. Again, all of this growth has been just incredible, and it's led us to be the #2 producer on social on Facebook, and the what are we at now? 5 producer across all of social, and that counts Instagram, YouTube. We're right up there with The Ellen Show and BuzzFeed and World Wrestling Federation. And if you can see, we're actually the top news producer in both. So the difference between web video and social video. Web video I've designated as YouTube, any sort of legacy link site, Hulu, streaming, and social video is all of these social feeds that allow for video. Here are the main differences between the two of them. Web video is on demand, right? You search or you Google or you YouTube how to fry an egg. You're seeking out the content on the portal. You go to YouTube, you go to Hulu, you go to a link, you go to NewYorkTimes.com, and you might be looking for video. You find things through search or related content. The main thing with web video is you've decided, I would like to watch a video right now. It's completely the opposite on social. Web video tends to have fewer views than social video. Everyone's kind of noticing that Facebook, you can get incredible amount of views. But on web video, people tend to finish your video or get further along. And also, the main thing about web video is it can kind of be consumed more privately than social video. You can kind of search for things that maybe you would be embarrassed to tell everyone on Facebook or Twitter that you were learning about. Social video, pretty much all of these channels now have autoplay. Obviously, again, that's easier because of websites, or broadband and Wi-Fi. It also makes it really stand out in your feed. And that's where the content finds you, either because a media company shared it or your friends shared it. You're just scrolling through your feed, you don't know what you're gonna find. And this discovery is happening through your friends. There's no real search engine optimization yet when it comes to Facebook. Twitter has terrible search. So you're really finding things because people in your network are sharing them and elevating them in some way. As you're scrolling, it's really easy for a visual to pop out, but it's really hard to get someone to kind of stop their thumb or their mouse and get them to stay. And so that has sort of led to quote unquote easy views because Twitter and Facebook usually seem to require about 2 to 3 seconds to count as a view, which I believe YouTube is 5 or 6 seconds at this point. So the views, you can see views go up and up and up and up, but it's really difficult to get people to finish a video on social because they can scroll away so easily. A big thing to remember with social video is it's social and it reflects your personality and what you care about. You might consume a lot of content, but you're only gonna engage with it if it really speaks to you. And social makes video really easy to share, repost, message, and comment in a way that many of your friends will see. We've all had it where we comment on a video and then all of a sudden 15 of our friends notice that we commented on a video and maybe we didn't realize we were doing that in public. Okay, I'm gonna show kind of an inappropriate video right now. This was a huge viral hit for us. It was getting 1 million views an hour for the first day. So the important thing about social is that it's you. And when we're creating for social, we have to think about all of these things because we have to think about how our user will actually share or engage with the content. We have to ask ourselves, is this story interesting enough that I would actually share it on my personal feed? What do I care about? What's compelling about this story? Is it holding my attention? What's the emotion? In this one, it's shock, amazement. It's a what the fuck story, as we call it at Now This. how do I get someone to finish and share the video? This one we had a lot of dynamic imagery, but people were sharing this video because they were amazed at the technology and they were telling their friends like, isn't this crazy? Isn't this amazing? What do you think about this? And also the visuals are just bonkers. What we know about Facebook is that it's an audio off environment, which is really frustrating. And as Adam pointed out in the previous talk, you really have to use those constraints creatively. So what we do is we put a ton of text on our video so you don't have to have the sound on. You can consume it anywhere. It's not disruptive. You don't have to put headphones in. And since most of those users are on mobile, we really have to think about that experience. You really have to grab people in the first 5 seconds, and with that thumbnail, that still, if you can't stand out in the feed and make someone stop their thumb, they're gonna scroll right past and you've just wasted all of your production time. The more you think about the emotion and the completion rates, the more likely you are that people will finish your video, feel something, and share it. And that's what we think a lot about at Now This. I'm gonna skip these videos, but you can watch them on our page later. On Twitter, obviously speed is still #1. Twitter doesn't have an algorithm yet where it's increasing pushing content based on how many people are sharing it. We use a lot of live events to experiment, so this is how we've been covering the Republican presidential campaign and debates, taking funny quotes, making memes, experimenting with polls and animated GIFs, and also thinking about how our users will retweet. So this Ben Carson, this guy at the bottom, what does it say? When you show up to pick up your dry cleaning, but you forgot your ticket. It's kind of like a relatable joke, and then it's a little meme of him waving, and then we repost that same animated GIF with different text, different jokes, trying to get our audience engaged. On Instagram, again, you have this constraint of the 15-second video where most of your consumers are watching the visual and not necessarily reading the caption, so you really have to optimize for that experience. And you have to think about, would you actually heart this video or this photo? Would you actually tap it and put the little heart symbol? And that's where we've sometimes had a challenge with news, is not every news story is a story where you would actually click the little heart. So you have to think about the emotional resonance and the behavior on that platform. On Snapchat, how many people in Moldova use Snapchat? Okay, very few. So most of you know Snapchat was created as a private messaging service between people originally to send naked pictures to one another, and now it's really evolved into like the #1 way that young people, at least in the States, and increasingly the world, communicate with one another through images. They're not even really texting anymore, they're just sending faces to one another. And we thought we really have to get on this platform because it's where young people are. It is by far our youngest audience, but it is our most engaged audience. They're obsessed with little news stories and learning about the world. Probably because we're one of very few publishers who actually do news on the space. Only recently, publishers have been invited into this product called Discover, but it looks very different, it feels very different from the native Snapchat experience, and that's what we're still producing for. There's no search, the share features are really basic, you can only sort of screenshot something and send it to a friend. So we have to create something that one user will see, react to, and engage with. And we do that through little mini visual headlines. And a lot of times we ask our users, what do you want to learn about today? What kind of stories do you want? And they will actually snap us a video or a chat back and tell us, I want to learn about the election, or I want to learn about what's going on in Brazil, or I want to learn about what's going on in Moldova. They'll ask us questions and we'll produce stories based on that. We also use Vine a lot. I don't know if Vine is very popular in Moldova, but Vine is a 6-second looping video app where we tend to put a lot of humorous, goofy meme content on there because it's a way to get young people excited about news, and then they might go search a little more. It kind of gets them introduced to stories in a way. It's a very humorous, bizarre platform. There's a lot of weird stuff going on there.
Death to all Americans.
We like to take little lines out of context. So that's Ted Cruz, who's running for president, saying death to all Americans. And we say this is an out of context moment. Donald Trump making faces. You could just see this looping forever.
The only thing that separates women of color from anyone else is...
And then we do these little emoji games, but Anyway, I'm running out of time. So I'll leave you with this. Feel free to take a picture of it. This is something that we always think about. There are so many social platforms that we produce for that you really have to think about the platform and the behavior that you use on the platform as a user. That's always the most important thing we talk about with our staff. They are the number one, they're our audience. They consume on these platforms all the time, and when they're creating for these platforms, they really understand what they're used for. So platforms are not just traffic generators. A lot of larger media companies just use Facebook and Twitter to drive traffic back. As you know, we put all of our content there. And because we believe it's part of the personality of our company, it helps our users express themselves and learn about what's going on and share it really easily. It's also important to remember that these platforms existed long before news was there, so you have to kind of learn about how you fit in with that social feed and what you're saying that feels appropriate for that platform. And you really have to listen to your audience because they'll guide you and they'll sort of tell you about what they want and what they need, and they'll speak to you in the language that fits on that platform, which will help you find your voice. Also, the last thing I'll leave you with is the biggest thing that our company does is we look at our failures more than we look at our wins. We really learn a lot from videos and stories that don't succeed, and that helps inform videos and stories that we should follow or better angles we should take to better reach our audience, and that leads to more hits and a lot of success. So thank you so much, everyone, for having me.